In a little over 20 days from now, the New Patriotic Party goes to the polls to choose a flag bearer, a torch bearer that will lead it into the elections of 2028. There are 5 persons on the ballot seeking to be the flag bearer of the party, and that includes former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and former flag bearer of the party. Now, on Face to Face, we are going to do a conversation around the preparation of the party towards that election and also how the various campaigns are shaping up. Today, we are focusing on the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign. We brought you interviews with other camps in the past. My guest today has played various roles in the New Patriotic Party, has been in the Akufo-Addo government, and currently he is leading the charge, or one of the key persons leading the charge for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's re-election as flag bearer. I'll be engaging him in a bit. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television.
10 years of unforgettable memories, breathtaking sights, unlimited excitement, new friendships. And this March, we're turning it all the way up. From the 1st to the 8th of March 2026, get ready for the road trip of a lifetime. 8 epic days, 14 regions, 1 legendary caravan. We roll from Greater Accra through the Eastern region, cruise into the Northern and Upper East regions, vibe through the Western region, and hit many more iconic destinations across Ghana. It's culture, it's adventure, it's pure discovery with the best people and the best vibes. Expect non-stop fun, endless scenic views, deep cultural immersion, new networks, and friendships and memories that will outlive the journey. Seats are limited, and this is the 10th anniversary. You cannot miss it. Watch out for details soon.
My guest is from the Upper West region. He became a one-term member of parliament. The NDC took back the seats from him. He served as Deputy Minister for Transport. He was National Youth Organizer of the New Patriotic Party. His name is Anthony Abefa Karbo. He has a name or a surname that resonates with the New Patriotic Party. How are you, boss?
Thank you very much.
Long time.
It's been a while.
You have been missing in action.
Well, I haven't been. I have just...
Tony, you used to be on the media space.
Yes, to be honest with you, Umaru, I used to be very, very, very prominent in the media space in the lead up to the Akufo-Addo run for the presidency, which was a very important journey we had to take. We had just come out of school, we were so young, we were vibrant, energy. Too much energy, and we had to work so hard to railroad Akufo-Addo into office, and we did that with a lot of joy.
And you went quiet.
And of course, you know, once he had become president, the biggest concern was delivering on what he had promised to the Ghanaian people. And it wouldn't take a lot of talk. It really took diligent work and people put in places so that they could help shape that, the promises and commitments that he had made. Don't forget that Akufo-Addo is former President Akufo-Addo is a very open, public, spoken person who to say that he took on some of the most controversial political ideas or policies. For instance, the free ACTs. I remember the times when we used to have 5:30 news with you.
Eyewitness news.
Eyewitness news with you. Some of the biggest questions were was free SHS even possible? Where has it happened in the world? Most African countries that had tried it, they were talking about Kenya, South Africa, it hasn't worked. You recall the Akufo-Addo interview with Stephen Saka with the BBC, which was a major issue on your network at the time. The cost of free SHS. So we had to be out there to explain to the Ghanaian people and to even our party base that that was possible. And it was very possible to be done. And the fact that Akufo-Addo was addressing a very big problem in our country as far as young people were concerned. Because as we went around the country, one thing that was very clear was the incessant request from party folks for school fees for the awards. You know, some were asking for 200 Ghana cedis, some were asking for 300 Ghana cedis to pay for the awards to be able to go back to school. And the huge numbers of young people that were coming out of our educational system clearly didn't, have the opportunity to secondary educate themselves, to get to secondary schools. Access was a problem, cost was a problem, and of course quality was a problem. So those three things were key. For me, hindsight, one of the reasons why I was so excited to work and I did for Akufo-Addo was the fact that I knew that this free senior high school education that he was talking about was going to be to the bigger benefit of the 5 northern regions. I mean, then was the 3 northern regions. So I could, because if you talk about access and cost, the biggest, geographical group of people who were affected largely with issues of cost were people in the 5 northern regions. If you look at the data, it tells clearly. So after 8 years of Akufo-Addo government and after implementing that policy, we could see that, the gender parity was clearly closed. We had more girls in school in the 5 northern regions compared to the time when he had not become president. So it was difficult for me to buy the argument from our colleagues at the time. I mean, Felix and Co used to argue, Omani Bawumia, may his soul rest in peace, they used to argue about progressively free. We said, how much more time do we have to progress to get to the free education? The president came in very decisive, very bold, and took a firm decision that, look, free SHS now in his first year, and in September of 2017, we launched free SHS. The rest is history.
Tony, you was campaigning to make Akufo-Addo president your biggest job ever in the world, and do you have any regrets?
Well, I don't. I think one of, I had always had a long time, for many years, growing up in this tradition, Akufo-Addo had captured my imagination, as a political figure.
So you liked him?
I liked him, and I still love him. I still like Akufo-Addo. He's one of the best political orators. I remember those days, your studios used to get a lot of sound bites from Akufo-Addo, because, he's a very prolific reader, prolific writer, and a very good orator, and I thought that he could capture the emotions, he could capture situations very well, in his political rhetoric.
And there were a lot of hopes for him, but after 8 years, people didn't see, there are people who thought he disappointed.
Well, I think
you served in his government.
Well, I did, and I did for the first 4 years, and I was redeployed, and other people were deployed to take over. And I think vindication is what will serve Akufo-Addo in the course of time. I think a lot of the works that Akufo-Addo did as president in 8 years, it will take time for Ghanaians to see the work and the extent and the body of work that he did within the short time. If I take Laura, for instance.
Your constituency?
My constituency, just Laura in focus. In 4 years, the kinds of development that Akufo-Addo had brought in to the district. First was to elevate Laura from a district into a municipality. And that meant that certain public services that we expect to get within the district was going to improve. A new TVET, a new secondary school, girls' secondary school, water, which was a major issue. In 4 years, Akufo-Addo's government provided 149 boreholes that covered a lot of communities.
All of this in the first 4 years?
In the first 4 years.
But how come you lost that seat?
Well, don't forget that the seat belonged to the NDC for a very long time.
Yeah.
And the split in the NDC front gave us a window to wiggle our way into victory.
So once they closed that gap.
And at the time, I remember his former president, the current president, John Mahama, came to Laura and patched up the various sides, and Samson Abu, who was then the candidate, patched up with Bidziding, and eventually, they came together. But we had also increased our votes from 8,000 to about 12,000, and we lost by 2,000 votes. And after that, I thought that, I had a better, I had different plans going forward.
I'll come back, so we'll talk about Akufo-Addo's legacy and mirror it with Bawumia's performance and why you are supporting Bawumia now. But your surname, Karbo, is a big surname in the New Patriotic Party. We hear Dombo, we hear Buzia, we hear Dankwa, but there's also Karbo. Was it your grandfather? Was it your father? What was Karbo in the New Patriotic? Educate those who do not know.
Well, okay, maybe I need to take you back a bit. Before the Karbo himself was a member of the Kuse Committee.
Okay, the Kuse Committee of the colonial time.
Of the colonial time. And they,
Kuse Commission,
the Kuse Commission, the Kuse Commission. And they ensured that the current constitutional democratic space, that is what we are enjoying today.
Okay.
And so there was this idea that Nkrumah's government at the time didn't recognize the Northern Territories as part of the political arrangement. So Mumuni Bawumia, who's the father of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and a couple of Northern elites came up with the idea that they needed to form a political party that will advance the interest of the three northern regions at the time, because they were lacking in education, industries, hospitals, schools, social amenities, compared to the South that had seen a lot of development. You had Chimota School, Agri Memorial, Chimota Hospital, the Gajisbek. So there was a Gajisbek development plan that was largely focused in the South. So the North was not part of it. So when Nkrumah went on his rounds trying to woo northern chiefs to get involved in the political tradition and to get involved in the Gold Coast and also the Independence Declaration, the Northerners were of the view that we do not have the equal development the South has. And so because of that, we would need certain concessions. So there was a trip of the Northern elite to the Queen, which was led by Mumuni Bawumia, SD Dombo, Karbo,
and this was your grandfather?
This is my direct father's elder brother.
Okay, so in English they may say uncle, but in your village it's your father.
That's my father,
it's your
basically.
Father.
So the current chief of Laura is my direct father. His elder brother was Karbo.
Okay.
Right? Okay. And so for that is the connection. And so when they came together and put together the Northern People's Party, the idea then was to fight for the advancements of the North, to get the government and the colonial masters to bring in some development. So don't forget, there were a couple of schools, Tamasco, Ganasco, Navasco. These were the Northern Trust schools. These were the initial schools that were built to help bridge the gap. And the politicians like John Mahama's father, E. Mahama, Karbo, Jato Kaleo, Mumuni Dumbie, J. Brima, Clifford Brima's father, Yakubu Tali, the former MD for ADB, Alassane Tali's father, and Tolong Na as well. So these were the people who came together and said, look, we needed a political party. We needed to contest that elections, and they got a lot of support from the NLM. The NLM at the time couldn't present candidates in the North, and so they supported the Northern People's Party, and that's how they emerged into the formation of the Northern People's Party that joined with the Ghana Congress Party of Buzia and formed the United Party. So we had the UP Party.
So that is your connection in the New Patriotic.
So that is my connection.
That's your roots.
That's my roots.
So you have always been MPP.
I mean, I was born, bred, buttered, and I hopefully will die
in an elephant
family.
But so there are people who say people like Karbo are supporting Bawumia because they are from the North and they think it is a turn of the Dombo tradition. Is that really what it is? Are you supporting Dr. Bawumia because you are Northerners, he's a Northerner?
Well,
and there is a chance and the time for the Northerners?
Those arguments are complementary, but the key core of the argument, and I think people should know that, Akufo-Addo contested among 17 people. Aliyu Mahama was part of those who contested with President Akufo-Addo. Akufo-Addo himself was contested with about 6 people from his region. Don't forget Hakman Owusu-Ajimai was in that contest. Felix Owusu-Ajapon was in that contest. Safo Mafu was in that contest. Boachie Jaku was in that contest. Dambutre was in that contest. But those of us who came from the north, even though Aliyu Mahama was a vice president and was part of it, one would have assumed that the fact that we all came from the north, we all go with Aliyu Mahama. But you know, times, seasons always emerge, somebody emerges to become the leader of the party. And I think that at that time, the tide was on the side of Akufo-Addo. The 5 northern regions themselves, the 3 northern regions at the time, were strongly in support of the Akufo-Addo candidate. So we had looked at Akufo-Addo based on what happened in 1998 in Sunyani, particularly after the contest with Akufo. And it was quite clear to people that, you know, in terms of succession, the next available person was
Akufo-Addo.
But then Akufo-Addo's biggest strength was that Akufo-Addo was a student of history. So Akufo-Addo had a very deep connection with the traditional families of the new patriotic party in the 5 northern regions. The C.K. Tedam family, the Dumbie family, the Brahma family, the Yakubu Tale family, you recall, even in opposition.
So the foundation members of the NPP.
The foundation members of the NPP recognized the fact that President Akufo-Addo, you know, understood the history, and with him, they will not be missing, or their names will not die off in the history of our party. So watch it. When Akufo-Addo became president, Edubo and his son was in government.
Yeah.
J. Brahma's son was in government.
That's Farouk.
No,
Clifford
Brahma. Yakubu Tali's son was in government. You recall that?
And then airport was named after
Dombo's son, Richard Dombo, was with railway. He was in government. Edu Buhari himself, who had led the party, his son was in government. So that recognition was one of the main reasons, and the fact that they believed in the vision of Akufo-Addo because of the free senior high school education. Don't forget, the Northerners had already benefited from free SHS in some form under the Nkrumah regime. And gradually that process was getting expensive. And of course, we were largely disadvantaged. So for any candidate from our party then, particularly when Kufuor had declared free universal composite basic education, the FQ at the time was declared, and you know, schooling at the basic level was entirely free. There were a lot of people who wanted to proceed from then into the secondary education, which was key.
So your support for Dr. Bawumia today, although there may be some semblance that your support is based from the fact that you are from the same region, you're saying that that's not the real reason.
That is not the real reason.
It is his personality.
For me, it is more of his competence and the fact that he is a deep thinker and somebody who thinks outside the box.
I'll come back so you tell me more about his attributes. But how did you first meet Dr. Bawumia?
Well, I've told you before, the families are very close families. You know, there's no difference between the Karbo family and the E.A. Mahama family.
Okay.
There's no difference between the E.A. Mahama family and the Bawumia family. There's no difference between the Yakubu Tale family and the Abeyefa Karbo family.
But this Bawumia was not a politician, strictly speaking, like how you were. I'm sure you were a member of TESCON and all those things.
But
Dr. Bawumia wasn't.
I knew him much earlier, before his involvement in politics.
Okay.
And my conversations with him clearly put me in a mind frame where I could safely conclude that he was center-right. I could see that. Even his thesis that he wrote.
Even though his father was leftist at a point.
Well, I'm not too sure if his father was, because I have had the opportunity to come back to read his father's biography. And I think many people have not read it. You know that one of the startling things is that his father was never a member of any political party in Ghana except the Northern People's Party. In his own book. Okay. He never held membership for the NDC. He never held membership for the CPP. He never held membership for any political party. In his own book that he authored before he died. So I find it extremely difficult because his father had grown to become an embodiment, a personality who cut across. You know, if you look at his role in chieftaincy, if you look at his role in public life, if you look at his role in supporting many Northerners when he had the opportunity, was where he was. And that was the type of person he was. And so he was very much revered across the 5 northern regions. And now today 5 northern regions. Then it was 3 northern regions. And so he came from this rich family of tradition and culture. And that's why you find that many of the politicians at the time from 1956 till now were sons of
Okay. So did you know him in his private life? Did you play any role in him becoming running mate in 2007?
I advocated strongly for him. I wasn't just the only one.
Even though they said he was a stranger
yeah,
at the time.
I advocated.
So he wasn't a stranger to you?
No, for me, he was never a stranger. I mean, he was never, his heart, his soul was in the New Patriotic Party. And with the Dankwa Dombo Buzia tradition, I knew that from the start. And it was difficult to be convinced about all these other stories that we have
so when
in my family.
So when they say he's an alien to the NPP,
it hurts me.
And that he was given a party card later when he became running mate.
It really hurts me when I hear that story. And many of the people who speak about it don't know a thing about it. I mean, they have no knowledge about him. They just found somebody who appeared in the political space.
But that could be because they didn't know him until his name was mentioned at Alisa Hotel.
Yeah, but there are many people in this party who are strong advocates, supporters of our party and believe in our tradition. And they are not all picketing in the faces of the media, or they are not out there. The kind of work people do in this party, it's not all of it, just about 20% end up in the media. There's a lot of people who support this, our tradition. They are not out there for people to even know.
So his opponents who say, one, he's an outsider, he's alien, they even say his spouse is alien, his constituency where he's coming from, or his ethnic group is a small minority.
But I was told
all of that.
Bro, I was told that when I was contesting with for the National Youth Organizer position of our party in Kumasi, I was told there was no way I was going to win between myself and Stephen Amwa, who is today Dr. Stika, that you all hear about, who was from Ashanti region. I was told that I came from a smaller region. I was unknown in the party. The few elderly people who knew the name Karbo could associate the fact that I was very rooted in the Dankwa Buzia Dombo tradition. But a lot of people wrote me off in that election. And 3 months into my declaration of intention to contest, Stephen Amwa was way ahead, campaigning for about 1 year. And he got the shock of his life in Kumasi. Because the NPP really looks at who fits the bill for this particular job. It's not about where you come from, which tribe you are, which church you go to, which mosque you attend. Those are inconsequential matters.
They say the NPP really pays attention to those things. You're saying it's not true?
Well, I don't think so. Maybe I have broken those barriers, because clearly the chap I contested was very rooted in the party, was widely known in this party, but we got to Kumasi and we showed mettle. And the mettle is what won the day on that day. So
in his own home region?
In his own home region, right behind him. And he didn't even have the support of the people of his own region, because we had demonstrated to the people of the region that, look, as far as the National Youth Organizer position is concerned, if we are looking for somebody who could radically change the face of the NPP Youth Wing, I was the best person for the job.
So the same thing would work for Dr. Bawumia, you believe?
Well, I think that Dr. Bawumia will do very well. He will win this election, and we would have the opportunity of time to really plan the rest of the activities.
This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My guest is Anthony Abefa Karbo. He's a former youth organizer of the NPP. He's a member of the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team. We are just some 3 weeks to the general election, or the primaries, presidential primaries of the NPP. He is supporting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia into the race. When we come back, Why should Dr. Bawumia be chosen after he led the elephant into the bush?
10 years of unforgettable memories, breathtaking sights, unlimited excitement, new friendships. And this March, we're turning it all the way up. From the 1st to the 8th of March 2026, get ready for the road trip of a lifetime. 8 epic days, 14 regions, 1 legendary caravan. We roll from Greater Accra through the Eastern region, cruise into the Northern and Upper East regions, vibe through the Western region, and hit many more iconic destinations across Ghana. It's culture, it's adventure, it's pure discovery with the best people and the best vibes. Expect non-stop fun, endless scenic views, deep cultural immersion, new networks, and friendships and memories that will outlive the journey. Seats are limited, and this is the 10th anniversary. You cannot miss it. Watch out for details soon.
Yeah, welcome back. This Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. My guest is Anthony Abefa Karbo. He is with the Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia campaign team. Dr. Bawumia was given the chance in 2023 by the New Patriotic Party. He was a sitting vice president. He was running mate for 4 consecutive times. He was given the flag. The party went into an election and suffered the most humiliating defeat ever under his leadership. Many say he has done his part. Thank you, walk away. Let a new person come because you are not cut out for the job. Why do you agree to the contrary?
Well, I am directly opposed to that view. I'm strongly opposed to that view because we cannot also take away the huge global and economic headwinds that we encountered in that election. And if you have done a post-mortem of the 2024 election across the world, you would have known that all or many incumbents, over 80 incumbent governments that were going into a re-election in that particular year lost, and they lost heavily on the back of the crunching economic situation and the global economic situation at the time. So it would be difficult for anybody to reach such a conclusion. In any case too, there's no sitting vice president in our history who has won an election in Ghana on his first attempt, except
John
Mahama, who was actually a sitting president, and he wasn't a vice president at the time. He went into that election as a sitting president. So, I mean, I think we must put those two things in context. And having said that, you know, we're also reeling under the huge economic problems in Ghana. You recall that the debt exchange program, there were so many other things, the galamsey, you know, and all these things added up to the difficulty we had in this election. We cannot run away from that fact. And it doesn't invalidate or make the candidate a wrong choice. Ghanaians were tuned off. With all the good ideas that we were talking about, we didn't get the attention of the country. I recall in 2008 when Akufo-Addo started talking about free senior high school education, we didn't get the attention of the country at the time. Even though that idea, but with persistence, we put that back on the burner and Ghanaians bought the idea. I think that there are a lot of great ideas that were espoused by Bawumia in that election, but Ghanaians didn't listen. But I guess that as time goes on. So I would oppose any viewpoint and I've heard that within the party there's been debates and arguments and people have, but of course, once a contest exists, for anybody to unseat you, they must build up a case. And in building up the case, this is one of the arguments they will make. It's not new. When Akufo-Addo lost 2008 general election, I mean, no matter how close that was, there was still a mountain group of people in this party who thought that he was the bad candidate for us. They talked about floating voters and that the floating voters preferred a particular person. I mean, but it took us, 2 election cycles, and even the second 2012 election, we believed so strongly that our candidate had won that election. So it is a bit difficult for me to buy that argument, and I completely detest it fully. And I think that with the benefit of hindsight, Bawumia will be able to put together a new coalition to stage a comeback in 2028.
So if Bawumia is not to blame for the loss or the defeat,
yeah,
we need someone to blame. Who should we blame for the MPP's defeat of 2024?
Well, I think that you cannot necessarily pinpoint a particular person to blame. There's a collective. I mean, when the Kwesi report came out, and you recall that was a major furor in this country. When the Kwesi report came out, there was not a single conclusion or discussion that said it was John Mahama the reason why they lost that election. No, I don't think it was. Doomsor was the reason. And it became a major issue. The government had grappled with trying to resolve this issue, which was recurrent because we had missed opportunities to expand on our generation and to provide the finances to ensure that we powered our gen sets, and it became a huge issue. And I think one of the reasons that affected the NDC was that matter. And of course, the breakdown in the party and government relations. Once the tripod at the district level is broken, the MPs on one side, the DCs on one side, the party chairman is on one side, the party loses momentum. And that momentum is one of the reasons why we have this challenge. And you will see that even as the party takes stock of its lessons, some of the things that we've put in place in our new constitution is to seek to address the concerns that came from the ground. So that's the reason.
I speak to people from the other camps. In fact, I spoke to Dr. Brian Champon, and
yes,
he said to me the reason for the party's loss cannot be blamed on the party. There could be a few, issues from the party, maybe from the government, but for him, the major thing is Dr. Bawumia, the candidate, because Dr. Bawumia will win some very significant regions, and that some constituencies, the parliamentary candidates had more votes than Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then the issue of Zongo votes and all of those matters. Yeah, if it was not his candidature that's a problem, then what is? And that's what the critics say in Dr. Brian Champon.
So Dr. Brian Champon only found out that the candidate was a problem after Bawumia lost?
After doing the analysis of the data,
after Bawumia lost.
Yes.
That's his assertion.
Yes.
Of course, it's also because he's interested in running. What would be the reasons he would give to run if he doesn't find some negative or some, incendiary comments to make about Bawumia? What will be the reason that he's just coming because of what? He needs something. I'm saying to you that Akufo-Addo went through this process.
But that's something he's pointing to. It's not something out of the...
Yeah,
he mentioned data.
What was the data?
He's
not been able to provide any substantive, qualitative research. And be careful, qualitative research that says that these are the reasons. And he's just talking about data. The same people who looked to contest Akufo-Addo in 2008 came up with the same data. Akufo-Addo won only 2 regions. You recall?
Yeah.
So did it make Akufo-Addo unpopular? But that's a very simplistic way to put out data slanted for a particular purpose. That's a very simplistic way. Don't forget, the country is one constituency. The country is one constituency. And if a candidate can win in 4 regions and constitute a government, then that is the country. That is where the vote has come up from. And of course, all political parties have densities or areas where they call their strongholds. You can't take that away. The country's political map is known. We know where the NDC strongholds are. We know where the NPP strongholds are. And that is what we saw generally was a reduction in the NPP's votes across all the 16 regions except Northeast. That is what the data shows. So I'm waiting for anybody to contradict that data.
It's good you
but
mentioned
clearly, the reason why our party people did not turn out to vote are known to us. We know some of the challenges that party people have.
It's good you mentioned Northeast. Dr. Brian Champon again, and forgive me if I mentioned him, but he's the one I interviewed recently who is opposed to your campaign. He says John Mahama made serious incursions in Northeast, the home region of Dr. Bawumia. Dr. Bawumia did not replicate same in the Savannah region.
Yeah, but to make that conclusion, the fact that Bawumia could even bring his region on board and win and increase the MPP's votes in his region is important. Clearly, John Mahama didn't have that.
But we're told he was going to bring the Zongo votes. He was going to bring the Northern votes. He himself said that. What happened to the Zongo votes?
But we have always done that. Those who have not looked at the figures will not be able to come to this conclusion. The MPP traditionally...
But they say he won only one Zongo vote in the Asin area of the central region.
That's not true. They talked about Efutu,
yes,
and which was a pure propaganda. I don't think that's right. I think what is important that we all must recognize is that the Zongos are a work in progress. If you look at the fact that the MPP brought Aliyu Mahama, and one of the reasons was the fact that he was a Zongo person, and we started increasing in our Zongo votes. We have integrated the entire Zongo structure into our party. We have the Nasara all the way to the constituency level. This is work in progress. We are going to.
But did he win any Zongo vote apart from Efutu?
Oh, no. He won in many other areas. I don't have the exact figures to give you, but I'm telling you that he won.
Because that's what
in my constituency, for instance, in Laura, there were some of the seats, some of the polling stations where the candidate had won. If you take some of the other places, I don't have the data. We've done a response to that already. But essentially, it will be wrong for people to make that assertion. Even if you look at the same person who is making the same point, find out from him in his constituency whether or not he performed better in that election. His votes reduced, kept reducing. Why? Why were his votes reducing? There was a general, I don't know the word to use, there was a general, I don't know what to call it, demoralization of our party people, or the fact that our people were completely, they were not excited. There was something that just didn't work well with our MPP supporters, the reason for which many of them didn't show up.
And it's not because of the driver in the seats?
I'm not thinking, I don't think it has
because people go to vote for the candidate on the ballot.
Yeah, but I don't think it had anything to do.
And if the apathy is that huge,
that's the word. Apathy.
Yes.
Apathy for what? A huge expectation.
Because of the person on the ballot?
No, maybe? It had nothing to do with the person on the ballot. I want to be clear on that. It had absolutely nothing to do with it. My father-in-law, who did not vote, was a strong MPP man, was very upset because his pension were touched.
By the DDP?
DDP. And according to him, he had heard the president says, no haircut, and subsequently, a haircut happened. He was completely upset over that issue. But there's a strong MPP supporter. He decided to abstain from the vote. So that should tell you that many people had their issues. And I'm saying that the party has gone through the process where we have had to learn those lessons the hard way. We've been told in the face by our own committed, dedicated party supporters that, look, we didn't show up to vote because, that matter was not properly handled. Though important, but it was not properly handled. The communication and diet, it was one of the issues.
So was Akufo-Addo the reason Bawumia lost?
I won't put that entirely on Akufo-Addo, but I think that as a government, there are a couple of things that happened in the administration, certain policies that were completely obnoxious. For instance, e-levy. Rarely. Couldn't the country have moved on without e-levy?
You were in that government. Dr. Bawumia was in that government.
I wasn't.
Okay, you weren't in the sense that you were not a minister deputy, but you were still in the NPP.
But that view was made known.
Dr. Bawumia was vice president.
That view of Bawumia, I think that is even public knowledge. He's spoken about it, the fact that he doesn't think that because of the mass nature of these transactions, that transaction should be taxed. It's really for people sending 50 Ghana cedis, 20 Ghana cedis, 30 Ghana cedis, 100 Ghana cedis. Why do you tax the poor? So in his mind, he thought that that thing shouldn't be dealt with. But of course, you're in a cabinet, okay? An editorial decision is an editorial decision. The fact that you are the lead broadcaster, once the editorial decision is made, it's your business to go and announce it. And you will surely have to do that. And that's the clear example of what happened in respect of that matter. So I think it would be wrong for people to pigeonhole Bawumia and say that, oh, he lost because of Akufo-Addo. I think that there were certain issues that happened within the government that didn't sit well, first of all, with party people, and also with the Ghanaian people. Those matters, you can't run away from those
The issue
ones.
of his religion has been mentioned, that he's a Muslim.
Yeah.
That Muslims are a minority group in this country,
Yeah.
70% based on the Ghana Statistical Service.
Yeah.
Then that is why he did not win the election. Has your campaign done an introspection on that and thought of it like, wait a minute, maybe it's not a chance for a Muslim yet?
Well, I'm not too sure that the Ghanaian people are out there in search of an imam to become our president, or we are in search of a reverend minister to become our president. We have many of those. If that was the real call of the Ghanaian people, I think we would have probably gone for some of the famous, well-successful pastors and some of the best imams who we know are very pure. I mean, the national chief imam could be the president of the country and we'll all be happy about it. But I'm not sure that is what Ghanaians are looking for. I mean, Umaru, you're beautiful, nicely dressed with your nice haircut. I'm not sure that any of your production members here woke up in the morning. My good friend Lawson, what's the name again? Kwesi. Woke up in the morning and said that I'm going to the barbering shop, and the guy who's supposed to shave your hair, you want to find out which religion, which church does he go to before you allow him to deal with your issue. No, you walk to the barbering shop because you know that in this salon, at this barbering shop, this guy will get me a clean shave, a nice haircut, and it's going to cost me 20 cedis. I will pay 20 cedis and walk away. It is inconsequential as far as it's concerned.
Except when the person is the president of the
country.
But wait,
your children. You're probably bringing in a classes teacher to help teach your kids at home. Do you care which religion, which church, which mosque those your kids, their classes teacher really goes to? No, he's the best teacher to guide your kids to learn and be better. So as far as we are concerned, we are looking for a president to come in and solve our problems. We are looking for a president to come in to address the economy, to address social issues, to address housing issues. What do I care? Which God you really, I mean, I don't.
So you don't think
I'm
it
a
played?
Catholic.
You don't think it played a role?
I'm a Catholic. I'm a Catholic. I don't look at religion as the basis. Otherwise, I probably will not be a friend to you. I've known you for what? 2 decades now.
It's not up to 2, maybe 19 years.
Okay, fine. Almost 2 decades now. I've known you for a very long time. I don't even want to know which sect of the Islamic religion you belong to, whether you are Sunni, Shiite, Orthodox, Ahmadi. It's inconsequential.
But that's you and I. Do you think that the same thing applies to everybody?
I think that, you see, the moment you introduce religion, the next thing you will introduce is tribe. Right? I just told you, I won an election in Kumasi. With somebody who is a typical Kumasi boy, born, bred, schooled, battered in Kumasi.
From Richard Ananis in Shiaiso.
From the great Shiaiso constituency. But I beat him to it. Are you saying that the people who voted, or the entire Ashanti region at the time, was looking at tribe? They didn't care. They didn't even know which church I went to. They just found a young man who fit the bill, who could do the job, and they voted for that person. So for me, that's my response to those who talk about religion. And in any case, to be honest with you, it is small minds who meddle in those matters. Indeed, this country, I remember when Akufo-Addo was contesting, let's go back. President Kufuor was contesting in Kumasi. Those who were opposed to President Kufuor said that no Ashanti could become more powerful than the Otumfuo. Therefore, it meant that Kufuor could not win that election because no Ashanti could be greater than the Otumfuo. Kufuor went ahead to win in 2000, and Otumfuo is still here. When Akufo-Addo became, we are told that Akufo-Addo was too short. He's not called John, because for the Fourth Republic, we've had John 1, John 2, John 3, and they even had something called John 3:16. You call that? There was a old song in this country about that. The fact that he's not a John, and the fact that
he's a William.
He's a William.
He's Billy.
And he was Billy, and he was short.
And he's arrogant.
And yes, and all the things that were said about Akufo-Addo in 2016. Do you think that Ghanaians were looking at those things? They were simply looking for a president who could address and resolve problems that we face in our economy. Problems like doomsday, problems like education, problems like healthcare. Those were the issues on the table for Ghanaian people. So I think that the detractors, those who seem to want to outstage Bawumia, must throw something in the rules, because you need to dangle a carrot to get a rabbit to jump. So they needed to throw in something, and these are one of the things that they have thrown in. I have come to believe so strongly that Bawumia is a secular candidate. Ghana is a secular country. And so we must elevate him beyond that. In any case, John Mahama, who is a Christian, but a Northerner, gets the support of Muslims.
Could it not be because Dr. Bawumia didn't get the support of the Muslims because he was acting as a Christian rather than a Muslim? Again, there's view that he lost the Zongo votes because he didn't play the Muslim card. He was playing the Christian
you don't
card.
need to play any card. You really don't need to play any card. And Bawumia himself has made it very clear. And because I happen to know the family very closely, the same way you know the E.A. Mahama family, it's like that. Bawumia's family, out of 17, you have about 8 who are Christians. And I mean, his own direct Utron brothers, they're not all Muslims. Some of them go to church. If you come to my family, the Karbo family, there are people in the Karbo family who are Muslims. They go to Mecca, they go to church, they go to the mosques, they pray. And there's those who are also Christians and those who are also African traditional people. And they all exist in that compound, and we live together in harmony. Religion doesn't cross anybody. I went to St. Charles Minor Seminary School, but we had Muslims in the school. Muslims who were my mates. Some of them I went to school with. I went to St. Charles, I went to St. Joseph's, I went to St. Gabriel's. Today, the current police officer who is leading the IGP special operation in Tamale, DSP Jalil, was my mate at St. Gabriel's Primary School, which was a Catholic school.
And he's Muslim.
And he's Muslim. He was our school goalkeeper at the time.
So you don't think religion should be a matter?
For us in the north, I don't know, but many people in the south, but even in the south, as I know many people in the south, look, it's an issue that we must not highlight. Okay. And it is those who seek to put those who want to muddy the waters for Bawumia are the ones throwing these things in. But if you look at the people, in fact, Bawumia contested amongst 9 people inside the party. Majority, about 80 to 90% of the MPP's entire delegates are Christians.
So if he's done it before, he can do it. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 television. Now, the question would be, Dr. Bawumia's track record will always be referenced in the elections, and that's what I'm going to ask Karbo about. And also, what would he do differently in 2028 that he did not do in 2024? Why can he win the election for the MPP in 2028 if he failed, or when he failed in 2024? Please stay.
Welcome to the Health Quarters Ghana, where medical science meets everyday life. Join Dr. Gideon Hassan and the irrepressible Clemento Suarez as they tackle health issues.
My name is Dr. Gideon Hassan. I have with me here my co-host, Clemento Suarez.
I knew how it felt anytime I started to feel the pain.
Whether it is hernia, breast cancer, cataracts, or infertility, the show brings together victims to share their real-life stories and experts to debunk myths.
If you wear cotton supporter, and they be a pampers and a benwa or bosom.
Hey.
So you see, instead of it being raw egg, I done it because you didn't know.
Make a date with us every Sunday at 4 p.m. on Channel 1 TV. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and all social media platforms at Health Quarters Ghana.
Yeah, welcome back. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 television. My guest is Anthony Karbo of the Dr. Bawumia campaign team. What is Dr. Bawumia saying to delegates differently now on the campaign trail from what he said in 2023-2024?
Well, I think that he's been quite consistent with his message. In 2023, one of the things His Excellency told delegates was that we must put in place a system within the party when it's in the government, which is a merit-based system that rewards party loyalty, that rewards people at the grassroots level. And that's a major problem we've had. You could have one constituency in Ghana with about 6 or 7 appointments in government, and other constituencies where you still have one with no appointment whatsoever. So there must be some equity when the party wins. We are told that the president has about 7,000 appointments to make when he gets into office. Don't forget that it's the entire country that has voted for you. So we must have a system where, you know, there's equity in the appointments, that everybody, every region, every constituency will be able to get some appointments. And that's a very important issue, because if you take constituencies where, you know, apart from the DCE and there's no other appointment, the constituency party suffers a lot. It becomes very difficult to mobilize in those areas. And that's why we need to also reward people who have worked so hard. Are we saying, for instance, that our supporters who have worked so hard to keep our party alive in the Volta region, once the party comes into office and they are not able to bring a seat, they are not able to win any seats for us, they are completely cut out from the party? I mean, let's be fair, let's be honest. Would mean that essentially you're killing the spirit of the party, and you're killing the locals who are there still keeping the party alive and championing.
So all party members must be appointment. Is that Dr. Bawumia's campaign?
No, Dr. Bawumia is saying that the minimum of at least 10 appointments in every constituency is possible within the framework of the merit-based system. It's possible. And that is something that he's going to be committed to. 2, one of the things he's talked about is the welfare of party people. I have known party people who have worked so hard for this party, spent their time, their energy, their life, in fact, have mobilized an entire community to champion the MPP. And some of these people are struggling just in difficulties, they have nobody to tend to. And that is the time when you expect a party to come to your aid, because you are in the party as a member, and in the good times and in the bad times, the party must show up. And many of such people, because of that, they have folded and they sat back, and that's affecting the party. So we need a welfare system that addresses these concerns. And I think those are the things Bawumia has also spoken about, and the fact that the party needs to be resourced. You know, we need a functional constituency party office that is working. Akufo-Addo started it. It's something we're going to have to continue to ensure that we get people to sit, open the party office, and really be able to deal with our supporters as they come in and try to seek some of the government opportunities that we have created. Our jobs for young people, jobs for women, loans for our party people, recruitment for our party people who are qualified because, first of all, they are Ghanaians, their party is in power. So that system, that ecosystem that deals with party people, you know, very fairly, and also gives them their due because their party, they've worked so hard to bring the party into power, is important. And those are the messages that His Excellency is talking about. The third thing he's talking about, which is quite important, is that this time round, as president, he would like to have an engagement directly with the party. So he's currently meeting the delegates. Even as president, he will still want an opportunity to be able to meet the delegates once every year.
One of the problems for Dr. Bawumia in this election is that his opponents are outsiders. He was as vice president for 8 years. They say that if you can do all of this now, why didn't you do it at the time you were vice president? You are not a stranger. You were in the government. Why didn't the party base benefit? Why didn't you oil the party machine? If you were really interested in the party's welfare, you would have done it already, not now that you are seeking re-election.
I think that it's important people to also understand that you work as a vice president. The Constitution is quite clear what powers you have. These things we're talking about, as far as the things Bawumia will do, are matters that a sitting president with authority can do. You're vice president, you can offer an advice.
But the vice president has the ears of the president.
Yeah, but you can offer the advice, you can offer the suggestion, you can send a paper. It depends on the president to say, I agree or I disagree or this can wait. I have my vision and I want to follow that. That's the best you can do. I mean, if Nana Ajimai has any brilliant ideas, if those ideas do not sit with President Mahama very well, those ideas will never see the light of day. And we must be clear about that. We've seen John Mahama as vice president to Atta Mills, and I think he had some ideas. It is only when John Mahama became president that we are seeing the full contours of John Mahama's vision for Ghana and the way he's proceeding with it. I didn't think that there was a big push when he was vice president under Atta Mills. There was no idea like that. It's only when he became president that we are beginning to hear about the big push, which is his major flagship policy. He thinks that he wants his budget to address, and that is where he's going to put it. Under John Mills, there was this business of paying huge amounts of money for judgment debts. That was a decision of the government at the time, that this is the issues they want to address. So if you're a president, you are open to what you want monies to be used for. Akufo-Addo decided that free SHS is what is dear to my heart, and I want to see that happen. Mahama is in office. He says big push is a major issue for him. He wants to see that happen, and that is where the budget is headed. That is how the presidency, vice presidency, and the entire ecosystem operates. So for people to say that his opponents, what about them who were in ministerial positions? What did they use that for?
They were just ministers. They were not vice president. They were not number two.
But they could drive policy in their respective sectors that had a huge cascading effect. If you're a minister of education, if you're a minister of agriculture, I mean, of course, that is 60% of this country in your space. What is the impact?
Very well. We need to go. 31st January, what should we expect from your side?
Well, as far as we are concerned, His Excellency is just wrapping up his tour of Greater Accra, which has been very, very, very good. I'm very happy with the way the campaign, the messaging, and his consistency. If you listen to Bawumia in Cape Coast and you head out to meet him in Yendi, you're going to hear the same message, because he's very consistent with the message. And over the time, for the last couple of months, the message is growing onto people. And people are beginning to see that indeed a consistent presidential candidate, a person who is very knowledgeable, very humble, very calm, is a type of president Ghanaians are looking for. You cannot put Mahama, you cannot describe Mahama without talking about the fact that he is indeed a very gentle president. It's not one of those, and that is the type of Milo Ghanaians are looking for. People are looking for a candidate who is very accessible, a person who listens, and I think that one of the things we've done very well in opposition is that we are listening.
If the NPP listens to Dr. Bawumia and gives him the choice again, would Ghanaians listen to the NPP? We
have a long time to get into 2028. It's one of the reasons why we decided as a party, as part of our constitutional rearrangements,
to start
early so that we can have adequate time. Don't forget, Mahama had 2 years head start before we even jumped into the space.
Wish you all the best, and thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much, Umaru Sanda.
Anthony Karbo, former youth organizer of NPP, former deputy minister for roads. Unfortunately, we couldn't talk about roads, but currently he's on a project to get Dr. Bawumia elected as flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. This has been Face to Face on Channel 1 Television.